Like all good stories, Mantis Development started with a handshake. Adrian and I met in 2004 in the Saxon Hotel, where we were both trying to win a job in North Africa. Being competitors, it was an interesting initial meeting, but like all things with Adrian, he soon convinced me we were more powerful together, and that started probably the best commercial adventure of my life. And I call it an adventure. Adrian Gardiner is a charming maverick. He does a lot of very, very interesting things, and our partnership in Mantis Development took us around the globe. We had wonderful experiences in the Seychelles, in Morocco, in the UK, all the way across to America, where we were very fortunate to meet some very interesting personalities. And that's one thing I can say for Adrian, is you never have an uninteresting day with Adrian Gardiner in your life. In fact, if you ever think you're going to have a peaceful Sunday morning, you're not likely to receive one if Adrian is your business partner, because when he gets bored, he needs to phone people. I look forward to those Sunday morning phone calls, always have. We had a long partnership of 14 years where we were owners of Mantis Development. I subsequently bought it from Adrian and then sold it back to him. And through those times, we met some wonderful people. We worked with some even better people. In terms of the Mantis story, growing from a small collection of 6 properties when I first partnered with Adrian, we grew to well over 80. And Adrian always was the face, the heart and the soul of Mantis, and is still to this day. He managed through his charm to bring people together, not only the staff but also clients and other hotel owners and people who bought into his vision, and the fact that he was a guy who never ever stood back. He always tried the impossible and normally pulled it off. Occasionally we didn't, but normally we did pull it off. And through that, Adrian and I have developed a very close personal relationship, and I think I greatly admire Adrian for his loyalty to the people that he supports. We've had wonderful people through Mantis Development and Mantis itself. I remember very fondly Donnie Milan, who started with Adrian right in the early days of Shamwari. His great friend Keith Loon, who I still regard as the finest lawyer I've ever met. Absolutely a man who could make things happen rather than tell you how they couldn't happen. And we've had a lot of fun. We traveled to St. Helena, which was 3 weeks in a boat across the Atlantic Ocean. It's a bit of a challenge for Adrian, who, as I said, is not the most patient man, and being stuck on a boat without communications for 3 weeks did leave him somewhat frustrated by the time we got back into Cape Town. We had a few lows. The sight of Adrian in his bright yellow pajamas walking down business or first class in an aeroplane is not something that everyone should have to go through. But unfortunately, because I travelled a significant amount of time with him, we did wind up having to look at Adrian in his yellow pajamas lying down in business class. Adrian also insists on being the first person out of the plane through immigration and through an airport. So we all had the joy of sprinting through airports to try and get outside the door before anyone else. But for all of that, I greatly admire the man. I think he has accomplished more than anyone gave him chance for. I first heard of Adrian in 1991 when I was working in the Sabi Sands, and we heard about this maverick who decided that the Eastern Cape should become a wildlife destination. I don't think I gave him a chance. I don't think anyone in the industry gave him a chance. And yet, nearly 15 years later, I was his partner. We have developed some incredible properties. We've been on some magnificent adventures. Adrian and I had the rare privilege of spending a day with Jack Nicklaus in his home, being taken around his properties. And I think it's because of Adrian's magnetism. I think he draws people to him. He's a man who brings great energy into any environment in which he operates, and that's unusual. Most people come into environments and you find that they pull energy out of a room. Adrian brings personality, he brings energy, and he brings a huge amount of experience to the table. I think also what people don't always know about Adrian is he is incredibly persistent, is that he sticks with something and he sticks with people. And I know personally that he is a man who will support you when things are tough. He's a man who will look after you when he thinks you need to be looked after, and he's a man who has always looked after his staff. And I think that's why you will always see in the Mantis staff that he has incredible support from the people who work for him and with him. Mantis Development as a company went through many growth phases, many challenges, many different countries to work in. Every time we had to learn it anew. We had to learn how the Seychelles environment worked. We had to learn how Morocco worked. We had to learn how Nigeria worked, if it does work. There were many times where we looked at each other, shook our heads and said, we hope it turns out all right, but it always did. I think Mantis Development became a huge part of the Mantis story in that it was a successful business that helped contribute to grow the greater whole. I have nothing but admiration for Adrian. I wish him the best. I wish Mantis the best. I think it's an incredible organization. I think if you look at a small little hotel company that started out of the Eastern Cape of South Africa, that's grown into a company that's represented in all 7 continents on the planet, the only hospitality business I'm aware of that can claim that, I think we must all say to Mantis and to Adrian, well done, and we look forward to seeing what's next. In terms of Mantis Development, when my time came to an end and I sold the business back to Adrian, it was very capably taken over by Craig Erasmus, who ran it successfully and has become a very senior person in the Accor hospitality company for the Middle East and Africa section. I think Craig led Mantis Development very ably and in fact was instrumental in crafting the partnership between Accor and Mantis. I wish all the Mantis people the best. Mantis Development remains very close to my heart and I trust that it will go from strength to strength. And to Adrian, I have huge regard for you.